I'm Jennifer Tuttle, the chair of the Department of Theater and Speech at the City College of New York. I'm very excited today to be having a 10-minute talk with our newest full-time faculty member, Bridget Kelso Anthony. Let's go in and meet her. So I'm here with Bridget Kelso Anthony. Bridget, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to CCNY?
Oh, my journey began a decade ago when I approached Gene about teaching public speaking. And he told me, I don't know you. I have a ton of resumes of people who want to teach here. And he's like, I'll just throw yours on top. And I was like, wow, I'll never be able to teach there. And he called me like 2 weeks later. And so I've been teaching public speaking. And then gradually, as I became more familiar and I guess better at things, you guys started to let me teach acting.
What's your background in theater and in education?
You know, I've always loved crossroads and the way that different things can intersect. So I started off as an actor, and then I was a playwright. I was in the emerging writers group at the public theater. I've been a performance coach down at the public theater as well. And my work at NYU, at the Gallatin School of Individualized Study, was solo performance, directing, and playwriting. But my focus there was the start of my love of intersections. I looked at African theatrical techniques. I looked at social justice.
Yeah.
And I looked at history. And so I was trying to blend all those different things together. And that kind of speaks to who I am as an artist. I feel like my art reflects my commitment to social justice. And I feel like all of those different things, playwriting, solo performance, directing, writing, all of it is all of one piece. I used to say, oh, I wear different hats. I'm like, no, it's just one hat. It's just got a whole bunch of colors on it.
I love it.
Like sometimes it twists and it's a different thing in front, but it's always, I bring all of myself into the room all the time.
I love that. Multiple skill sets. And I think, what do you think led you to kind of find that hat with all of those different skill sets? I mean, besides obviously finding interest in each of those, but what led you to that idea that they could all live together and be harmonious?
You know, I was lucky enough to study with some of the members of the Negro Ensemble Company when it was, and it is still somewhat still functioning. But I remember I was at a workshop at the NEC, and Ossie Davis was one of the guest speakers. And he said to us that there's no way that you should be an artist and not have something to say about social justice, especially being a Black artist. And I know there are plenty of artists out there who who say things like, I don't get into politics, or I don't want to blend my personal opinion with whatever. There's injustice in the world. There are things that are happening in the world that are not right. That also speaks to my calling as a minister as well, which kind of gets thrown in there as well. But there are things that that Ossie Davis told us, and that some of the older actors that I worked with, that I trained with when I first moved here, they instilled in me that there's a responsibility that I have to speak out about injustice, to have my work reflect my community, to reflect my values. I take it seriously.
I think that makes so much sense. It's really, to be an artist is a calling, very much like your ministry calling. And to be able to educate, illuminate, and it reflect back your own human experience in your work, if that's who you are, then to try and divorce that is lessening your art, I think.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable to try to separate yourself. I mean, I'm a mother, I'm a playwright, all those things show up in the classroom, in my home life. I think like my son is a good example of that. Like he's sort of this sort of jack of all trades. Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's, of course, 100 years ahead of me as far as where I was when I was 18. But just, I feel like he understands that he's got a responsibility to the world. He's got a responsibility to his friends, to himself. He's got a commitment to his schoolwork. He's got a commitment to his artistic life. He's got a commitment to rest, to being honest and being in touch with his feelings.
Yeah.
And all those things I think make me a good teacher. I think they make me a good artist as well. And those are things, that well-roundedness, that's sort of what I try to get my acting students to recognize. Like, you've got to be a well-rounded person as well. You've got to study and be aware of other things in the world.
I think that's so important, especially in this day and age. I'm sure everybody's said that through every day and age, but I think for our students that, especially as a BA program, that we're giving them every opportunity, opening as many windows and doors as we possibly can to give them as much of a view of what's out there and what they're capable of. That idea that we're not just sending you out there just to be an actor or a playwright or a director, that I love that what Ozzie Davis said to you, that idea of you're an artist. There's so many areas in which you can affect change, in which you can express what's inside of you. You can represent the folks that you come from and that need to see your work to find their own voices and their own inspiration.
And that looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not be a marcher.
Yeah.
You may not be willing to put your body on the line in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things that you can do. We all have to make a contribution towards that. To me, apathy or staying on the fence or I don't want to get involved or
just laying back.
That apathy and neutrality only supports the oppressor. It doesn't help people who have a foot on their neck. It doesn't help them.
Yeah, an urgent need.
Yes.
An urgent need to be supported right now.
And there are people, I mean, who need our support. And art is a beautiful way to do that.
And I think sometimes society can look at art as a lesser form of protest or social justice or consciousness, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about that.
It's the highest form. It was the first one.
Yes.
We were the first ones to advocate and to sort of speak out on issues. I mean, standing in front of an audience and allowing that two-way street, that catharsis, that replacement, that ability to see yourself,
to reflect humanity back.
We're the first ones who did it. You know, I mean, I don't want to get too much into the spirituality stuff, but I mean, if you look at like Jesus, all he did was tell stories.
Yeah.
You know, people asked him questions and he'd be like, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, you know, basically. So we're in the grand tradition.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a real failing on a lot of celebrities, people who don't speak out.
To not take up that mantle.
Yeah, to not take up that, especially artists of color. There's no excuse.
Well, and it's interesting to me too that there's now even research out that the best way to change society, especially social issues, especially things around injustice or oppression or inequality, is someone knowing a personal story of someone that they know.
Exactly. And
because we can relate to a story, to something that we see our humanity in.
And that's like, I never pronounce her name right, Chimamanda.
Oh,
The danger of a single story.
yes.
That's why we need more stories. That's why we need more voices. That's why it's, to me, just, why be silent? Your voice is needed in the world to add to the grand story that we're all telling, but also to add another layer.
Yeah. And I feel like we're at such a critical point in this country, in the world right now. I mean, like this crossroads between the social justice pandemic that we experienced and the, actual viral pandemic and all of the things that have shifted. And that idea of engagement as we move back to what we hope is a society that is, again, not such a schism, because I think we spent so much time online just yelling at each other from these two corners, and this idea that engagement, it's not going to be facts, it's not going to be, and that's other research I've read too, like you can bludgeon people with facts, but that does not reach their heart. It does not change. You got to change a heart to change a mind, It's going to be stories, it's going to be people's heartfelt
I agree with that.
engagement.
And I also agree too with taking a harder line than we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
I think we're in the place we are now because we have been trying very hard to pull some people along with care and gentleness. And I think that art is a great way to say, actually, you need to get on board with this. My humanity, my identity, my sexuality, my gender expression is not leaving.
Yeah.
It's here to stay.
And this is people's ability to be seen and valued that we're talking about. It's people's rights, not just their wishes.
Exactly. It's not up for debate.
No.
People's humanity is not up for debate. It shouldn't be up for debate. It shouldn't be something that someone's discussing or trying to legislate.
It's a human right.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I am so delighted, not just to be here speaking with you right now, but that you are here with all of your expertise and your talent and your time and your care and your skill set. And our students, I believe, are just so very lucky. And we are lucky because they are so wonderful too. So this is such a great symbiotic, exciting moment at City College.
I'm excited to be here. I just have to say this one thing too. I passed one of my favorites in the hallway, and she said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, a little tired today." And she said, "Hang in there." She said, "We're rooting for you." What? Can I say her name? I should not say her name. She's not my favorite. I take that back.
Everybody's our favorite at one point or
This
another.
one girl, Delilah.
Delilah. Yeah.
But she's like, "We're rooting for you," and I felt like, oh, students sort of recognize I'm new, and they're rooting for me. They're supporting me, and so I felt like, how can I not succeed?
Well, we are all rooting for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And we're so blessed and graced to have you amongst
All right.
our full-time faculty here at the City College of New York Department of Theater and Speech.
I'm so glad to be here. Very glad to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for spending this 10-minute talk with me.
That's great. I'm glad to do it. I'm looking forward to more.
Yes. So thank you for joining us.